Okay, recording is in progress, so we're still going to give everybody else a few minutes. There's about 20 people in now, about 40 people registered, so we'll give everybody another minute. Put your win for the week in the chat and put your LinkedIn link in the chat and put in the chat where you're from. And my win for the week is we have purchased and renovated my grandparents' home in Indiana, where I am from. And I just saw a sneak peek of what it looks like. And oh my gosh, I couldn't be more excited. So watch my LinkedIn profile later because I'm going to share that there. And I'm about to sign a new client in the government and defense space for a buku amount of bucks. And so I'm super, super stoked. So keep going, everybody. Win for the week. Yes, yes, yes. Post your win.
From Mariana.
Yeah. Thank you, Dane. Yes. If you're new here, put yourself on mute. It's not because I don't want to hear you guys talk, but like we run these master classes a certain way, and you get to engage with us in the chat. So everyone's posting wins. I love it. Dallas, thank you. Put your LinkedIn link in the chat. It looks like we're going to get started here in a minute. We're going to anybody else, Dane, Carlos, Indri, Lalani, if you could turn your cameras on. We are going to take a picture real quick before we get started, and then we'll see where it goes. And for everybody who was late, they just don't get to be here for that picture. Okay. Let me know. Hang on one second. Thank you. Let me capture, turn your pictures on, waiting on one, and then we'll have a full house. Can you turn your camera on? I know it's 10 o'clock where you are. She probably doesn't want to. Okay, 3, everybody smile. 3, 2, 1. I got it. Okay, yay. All right, now if you want to go off camera, do, but don't, like, just hang out with us, right? Okay, if you're new here, say new. If you've never been to one of my master classes, say new. If you're an oldie but goodie, tell us in the chat how many master classes you've been to, 1, 2, 3, or all. And I'm going to pull up my notes so that we can get started on seller's mindset. And as you know, I've got some worksheets to share, and I've got some really cool things. So we will just do the dang thing. Hello, everybody who's still coming in. Okay, you guys ready to get started? Say ready, 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 ready. Okay, and then if you're new here, just so you know, like comment, engage in the chat, give me emojis, give me thumbs up. Like we like high energy and we like to keep this thing interactive in the chat. And then at the end, we'll pause for questions and we'll kind of go there, right? But okay, can you see my screen? Yes, give me thumbs up because now I can only see parts of you. Okay, awesome. Let me adjust everything. So we're here for 50 minutes more or so. Okay, so the topic is seller's mindset, embracing the power of confidence, resilience, and customer centricity. Who here is in sales and who here is not in sales? I know for certain on the replay, because of people who registered to attend and might not be here, and also who are here right now, everybody is not in sales. But if you can tell me in the chat, are you sales or not sales? That'll help me as we kind of get going as to like knowing who I'm talking to, although I will be talking to both. Most salespeople here, I love it. Not sales, I love that too. Okay. All right, so let's get going. The sales mindset, like, let me just frame this up, right? It's different than being able to sell. A seller's mindset is the ability to identify an opportunity and bring in the right people who can close the deal, right? So like maybe your initial thought is, I don't know how to sell the thing I'm selling. I'm not that good. I'm new to selling, or I'm not in sales at all and I don't have the knowledge. But the truth is, you're hired at your company, you're doing the thing that you're doing, so you are already empowered in your role. Knowing that you're coming at a place for confidence is half the battle. Turning the dial 1%, it's something I say all the time, is going to allow you to implement some of these strategies. And maybe if you're in sales, get more meetings, or maybe it's be more confident, or maybe it's know to bring the right people in. And especially if you're not in sales, that last piece, bringing the right people to the table, is all that sales is really about. The other day, I posted something on LinkedIn about curiosity. I know Jorgelina saw it. Thank you for commenting, right? So like sales, truly, if you boil it down, my 20 years experience, I'm going to tell you it's all about staying curious and active listening. And I've got some worksheets for that. So hang tight. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, my shameless plug, right? So I'll drop this in the chat, the link to my book. I am a best-selling author. I am basically a localization industry veteran at this point. I've spent 20 years selling, or sometimes, as I used to say, schlepping translation services. I've been a leader both early in my career as well as later in my life, in my career. Now I work for myself as the CEO and founder of what better name than Kristen Gutierrez LLC, but I'm here helping others get results and impact and outcomes. Like I absolutely love what I'm doing and I love giving back to the world through these free masterclasses. So you can find all about me on LinkedIn if we aren't already connected. And I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Okay, so the agenda, right? It's not as scary when you shift the focus. Everyone can contribute. And then like, what are the strategies? When a client calls and inquires about services that we're missing, like if we don't ask the right questions and take it down the right path, we might be missing out on a lot of opportunity if we don't just pause and get the right people on the phone, right? So how many times when somebody calls you or like a client is saying like, hey, can you actually do X, Y, or Z? Aren't we so inclined to naturally say, oh yeah, let me tell you about that, right? Raise your hand, give me some emojis. If like that truly as sales professionals is our natural instinct to be like, oh yeah, let me just tell you about that. The first ninja strategy for today is if you just pause and say, thank you so much for bringing this up. This works especially well if you're not in sales, by the way, this is the strategy. And say, let me get the right people on the phone. When is a good time to meet about this? Are you guys willing to try that this week and next week? Say yes in the chat, give me some, I see the head nods, right? So it's way easier just to give me some emojis, right? So like, try that. The next time somebody says to you on the phone, can you also do X, Y, or Z? Pause and say, when is a good time to talk about this? I'd love to bring the right people onto the call. Because listen, as a 20-year localization veteran, can I sell something A to Z? No problem. Yes. But I always say, and some of you know, because I've been saying it a lot this week, is I can sell, but can my team deliver? Oh, like I say that. And it doesn't matter if you're selling cannabis. That happens to be one of my clients. They might be here right now. It doesn't matter if you're selling cannabis or translation, or if you work at an aquarium or a zoo and you're selling ticket passes, right? Like you want to make sure that the back end can deliver, and bringing the right people into the call is half of the battle. So like reframing your thoughts around like, what is sales? Half of it is confidence, I have to tell you. And the other, at least a big quarter of it, so now we're already 3/4 the way in, is bringing the right people to the table with you. You should never sell alone, nor should you feel like you're having to sell alone. Does this make sense? Give me thumbs up, give me likes, let me know. Awesome. Okay, so the big topic for today, I really wanted to frame this, and I've got a worksheet and we're gonna go there. So let me share it in the chat while I tell you guys what's on my head, in my heart, and then I will go over the worksheet with you. So if you're new here, this is what we do. The worksheets get dropped, you open them, you look at them, and then we work through the worksheets after the meeting so that you physically have something tangible that you can take away from these master classes and go and implement in your life. Okay, the concept of resilience. The formal Oxford Dictionary definition of the word is the capacity to withstand or to recover from difficulties. Another definition from the American Psychology Association is the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress. So American Psychology says the process of adapting in significant sources of stress. There's this book, I highly recommend you check it out. There might be a typo or two in here, but I'll put it in the chat. Somebody tell me if it's on Audible. because I'm all into that right now. No extra time walking and listening to professional development. The authors of this book, How Good Do You Want to Be? A champion's tips on how to lead and succeed at work and life. They say it's about being relentless in the pursuit of your goal and resilient in the face of bad luck and adversity. Relentless in pursuit of your goals. Think about that for a second, right? Have you heard then of the book Ikagi? Oh my gosh, I'm not laughing. There is a YouTube video I watched on how to pronounce this word. So have you heard of Ikagi? Tell me in the chat. You guys are being a little quiet. I'm going to put the name of the book. No, I hadn't heard of it either, right? So this is for sure on Audible. I just downloaded it last night. Okay, it's a Japanese way of living. To sum up what it means, it's the reason for living. So your ikigai. So there's a Japanese village which has the world's longest living people. They're in their hundreds, right? I mean, truthfully, I do want to live that long because now I have kids, right? Like, heck yeah. So they asked people in the village, the researchers did a thing, and they asked the people, like, how do you live this long? How is this village in Japan the world's largest community of oldest people? And they said it's about finding your ikigai, which is the place where your passion, I know, Savannah, right? The place where your passion, your mission, your vocation, and profession intersect. Isn't that so interesting? If you are relentless in the pursuit of your goals as it pertains to your ikigai, what? That means you have resilience. And wouldn't you know it, the book talks about how resilience is about never giving up, even when the cards seem stacked against you. But it's about the ability to persevere. It's a mindset, i.e., whole topic of today's conversation, right? It's a mindset that we can cultivate to stay focused on the important versus most urgent. So how many times does a client call you and say, OMG, fix this problem? Okay, I'm not going to lie. Obviously, there's certain problems you need to drop everything and go fix, right? How many times does your boss say, squirrel, 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 go chase this next thing? Some of my former direct reports are here. Like, listen, it happens to the best of us, right? Like sometimes I chase my team down a squirrel or a rabbit hole, right? You need to be accountable to holding yourself to say what is most important versus what's most urgent. So that's two different things, most urgent versus most important. And keep away your negative emotions, okay? So definitions aside, we're still on this topic of resilience. Resilience can help with handling setbacks, adapting to change, and moving forward in the face of adversity or in the failure. So think about it as it relates to you as a working professional, right? Especially if you're in sales or if you're being asked to sell in your role for the place that you work. There will always be buyers who change. Your best favorite buyer at the client that's been there the longest, they will change. Or a new boss will come in and they'll be like, nope, I don't care that you're working with X, Y, or Z company. Now you're working with so-and-so, right? New technologies emerge. New industry disruptors emerge. AI has disrupted everything, no matter what you're selling or who you are, right? But truly, it's about how resilience is about how we pick ourselves back up, maintain a positive mindset, learn from our setbacks or the things that are happening, and use these experiences to strengthen ourselves and drive toward our goal. That is the real gift. Okay, so confidence comes from doing, right? I actually said like half of the mindset with sales is like knowing that you're empowered in your current role to represent your current company, whether you're in sales or not, if they're asking you to sell, or if you recognize that you should be upselling and cross-selling. So confidence comes from doing, practicing like, okay, anybody here a basketball fan? I mean, my husband is, therefore my 2.5-year-old is, therefore my 4-year-old kind of is, right? But like professional basketball players relentlessly shoot 200 baskets before each game. They know they're going to mess up, right? Again, relentless pursuit of your goals. So basketball players relentlessly shoot hoops before a game. you know, what they're doing is they're perfecting their trade, their craft, and they're making sure that they give the audience, all of us watching those games, a great experience, right? Because the number of times Michael Jordan could go slam dunk, or whoever it might have been on the court, right? They're giving the audience a show. They're acting as if, and when you know that you're going to mess up, not every sales call is going to be perfect, but you put your emphasis on them. What's in it for them? I have a slide on that right here in a minute, but like, what's in it for them? Reframing the fact that sales isn't about me at all. It's not about if I say the wrong thing on accident. It's about them. And what does my customer want? My customer wants to know that there are other people at the company I represent who are in it to win it for them. That's why you, when they call and you say, hang on, like, let's set a meeting so I can bring the right people to the table. You're stalling a little. You're making sure that you don't say something necessarily that you shouldn't, or giving things away for one price when you could charge another price. And you're giving the customer a better experience. You're like hugging them with more people on the phone. You build the confidence of a seller's mindset when you customize the approach for your other people. So if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And just like my energy for you today, we want to bring high energy, because energy, thank you, Savannah, energy and I'm sorry, I can't see everybody. So if everyone else is giving me emojis like she is, I love you all. Energy helps you take action, and massive action helps build momentum, right? Okay. It's never a lack. Let me see this next slide if I'm going to go on. Okay. Yeah. In a minute, I'm going to go on and we're going to look at the worksheet, but like, it's never about how you do something. Okay. So if you're in sales, or if you're not in sales and your boss says squirrel, 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 or if you're now selling a new service within, right? I mean, somebody I was talking to today, they're like, oh, now I have to go sell this instead of this. Don't start with how. And I have a slide on this, right? But I want to preface it, right? How am I going to have a seller's mindset, or how am I going to sell this new service? It's the wrong first step, because how creates imposter syndrome. Put imposter syndrome in the chat. And imposter syndrome leads to paralysis by what? Over analysis. So don't think, oh, well, I was hired to do finance, or I was hired to do HR, or I was hired to be a project manager. Selling isn't my job. And if you're asking me to sell, I don't know how, right? Think about this. Martin Luther King had no idea how he was going to give the I Have a Dream speech. It was his wife who was the one that pushed him because he was uncertain. The real story of that is pretty amazing. So he gets up there when he gives I Have a Dream, he gets up there and he gives his vision of how it can be done and what needs to happen and why. He doesn't say how, he gives his vision, what and why. When you want what you want and why you're going after it, who here has done the exercise, which is very simple? I would maybe, as a next step to this, like, here's a ninja strategy, because you can put it in the chat, but like, what motivates you? That's also sometimes really personal. So email me what motivates you and let's set up a call about it. I ask this question every single time to my indirect team, to my direct team, to the clients I coach and consult now. What motivates you? Because you guys anybody here, you know what I'm going to say. People say everything from money, their cats, and Jesus, and everything in between, their family. Like, what motivates you is intentionally generic, because what motivates you might be your professional aspirations. What motivates you might be your personal, like, health. What motivates somebody else might be money, right? So like I always said, as a sales professional, because I kind of thought I had to, but really in truth, money motivates me. So my bosses always knew, like, how do I climb the ladder? How do I make more commissions? Like, how do I get a better raise? I made it very obvious to my boss what motivates me and why, right? And so we can have a conversation with you about that. I'm going to drop my link at the end with a 15-minute time block, so that we can look at, let me just pull this up here real quick. I'll just do it now, so in case anybody has to leave. You can use this 15-minute time block to talk with me about anything you want. And one thing might be what motivates you and how you can use that to your advantage, whether you're in sales or not. Okay, so now that we know not to start with how, because we're kicking imposter syndrome to the curb, and that we want to start with why and what, this is how we gain confidence, by doing it. Next time you're on a client call, ask them, are there other opportunities for us? Do you have other needs for X, Y, or Z service, right? And take it to the point where at a decision point, you say, let me bring the right people into the call. Just because you ask that question doesn't mean you still have the right, you do, to pause and say, let me bring the right people to the call. This is amazing that you do have this opportunity for X, Y, or Z, or that you are looking for this additional product, or that you are looking for this type of, I'm servicing so many clients now in different industries, right? Like all of my examples are translation, but like, it's amazing that you have another event that you're trying to host. Let me bring the right people into the call. Okay, that in and of itself is a really good ninja tip. So let's look at real quick then the resilience building worksheet. So I see a bunch of you in it. It's simply meant to help guide you through a process of self-reflection, adjust that mindset, right? And then help to plan and build resilience. So a lot of my worksheets today, and there's 3 of them, they all follow the same flow. Sorry about that. I was like on one last night, but it lays it out. Like, it gives you, I would really, really, really type out your responses to this. And if you don't know, they're all Google Sheets. So go to File, Download, Microsoft Word, it'll open it in your own end and save it however you want. Like, everything I give you is meant to be used and shared with your teams or in whatever way you want. So think about where you are today on a scale of 1 to 10 with resilience, and think about your mindset, and think about how you can reframe the setbacks you've faced. Oh, I'm sorry, I got fired from my job of 4 years with 2 weeks pay. Like, that's a pretty darn big setback if you ask me, right? And I'm not the only one in the world that's been fired, especially this year. So many people, right? Did it happen to me or did it happen for me? That in and of itself, if you see any of my LinkedIn posts, you're going to see I use the word for, not to, because when it happens for you, now you're putting yourself in a position of empowerment and confidence to help build that resiliency, right? That is literally, like, if I can leave you with anything other than that, is like, things happen for you, not to you. So what are the setbacks that's happened in your life? Reframe them. Coping mechanisms, right? And I'll just use the example, right? So when I lost my job, I had several options. Crawl into a hole, totally logical, right? Cope myself into like days and days and days, or even an hour or 3 on the couch, take a nap, right? Not take action, right? Complain, right? Blame the universe, right? All of these things, technically, anybody with the with the fact that you're going to see the pictures later, that I poured an insane amount of money I didn't have into my grandparents' home because, I thought I could W-2 cash out refinance this thing, right? On top of the fact I have a young family, right? I was the breadwinner I am the breadwinner of the family. There was a lot of things the world would have understood if I needed a minute. But you want to know how many minutes this girl took? 0. I built my resiliency so strong over the past couple of years that the second, and people here directly know that, the second I lost my job, I said, what does this mean for me? How is this a blessing in disguise? How can I finally step into my purpose and continue to serve others in a way that I never imagined possible or only would have dreamed, right? And so my coping mechanisms, write this in the chat, was to take action. Action, action, action. Confidence creates action. Action builds momentum. Action, action, action. That was my coping mechanism. If I can leave you with anything else today, ninja tip number 2, 3, 4, I don't know what we're on at this point, is take action. When life gets hard, take action. When life throws you lemons, take action, right? Okay, so you've seen the spreadsheet, so we can move on. All right, what is in it for them? Is this good so far? Give me some emojis. We're about halfway through, so we've got about 10, 15 more minutes of content, then we'll open it up for questions. Thank you. Awesome. Love it. Okay. What's in it for them? It's not about you, right? It's not about your features and benefits. It's not. It's about the other person. The irony is, and I'll tell you, right? Because like I love transparency. So I work for myself now, whereas for 20 years I schlepped translation services, right? So schlepping somebody else's service, I learned clearly how to articulate their needs, like how to ask questions about them, how to attach to like ROI or consistency or brand, their global brand voice. Like I learned big picture things and I learned how to tactically piecemeal that together. That's not what this is about. Now that I'm selling for myself, it's like I'm created this deck for myself. I have to remember that it's not about my features and benefits as to why you would want to join the world's best Outcomes and Impact Academy in the world. Let's get some shout outs for that. That was an unplanned plug, but so many of you here are part of the Outcomes and Impact Academy. And if I went and told you the features and benefits of it, I'm not making it about you, I'm making it about me. Sales is about the other person and what the other person, be it a business, a department, right, an individual, what they want to get out of the thing, or what issues they're having with translating, or their current vendor, or having never gone global before, or not having a budget, or not having the right product, right? It's all about the other person. Oops. So if you can fix that, if you can connect their needs and pain with your solution, voila, that is where the magic happens. Something I absolutely love on and I've coached on before is the outcomes-based framework in order to drive a client down a path, a sequential steps, using steps and a path to get them to love you. People buy from people what? Anybody know? They know, like, and trust. Yes, that was like all I said for one season of my life. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. There's a sidebar to that, which is like, and who can help solve their needs. Okay, so it's not just about liking and trusting. It's about being able to solve their needs. Start with why and what and not how. So hang on, let me pull this worksheets back up. Active listening. Let's look at this worksheet now. Okay. Oh, I think I put the wrong one in there. Hold on, this silly Zoom bar is in my way. Nope, is it active listening? Yes. Savannah, let me know. Is it active listening? I think it is.
It says active listening on the link, but the worksheet says resilience building.
Oh no. Oh no. Okay, hang on. Just give me a second. I'll see if I have the right one. What are we looking for? Active listening? Oh, that's because, okay, let me see if I can upload it really quick. Type in the chat the things that you're getting away from this so that we're not losing time. Like, tell me your number one strategy that you got away from this. And if I can't find the spreadsheet fast enough, I'll share it after the class. What is the number one thing you're getting out of this right now? Active listening. You know what? Replace. Okay, I don't have it. I will have to give it to you later. Sorry, but guess what? I'm human. And guess what? It's okay. We're just going to move forward, right? Is that okay? Amen. Can I get a heck yeah? Just keep doing the damn thing, right? Just keep going. Thank you. Okay, so we'll look at that. I'll give you a sneak peek into the next one. Now I kind of lost my whole way here. Okay, chat. There we go. So here was the third and final one. So I owe you something. So guess what? You get to hear from me after this, no matter what. Okay, start with what and why, not how. You guys can see the right screen. We're all good still, right? Yeah. Okay, this is it. It's stay curious. Most of us are salespeople. Some of us aren't. I love it, right? No matter if you're sales or not, stay curious. In reality, the selling mindset means being curious, learning about stakeholders, their needs, and crafting solutions. Do you see how an active listening worksheet really would have been ninja here? Okay, because like you need to ask questions. Listen, at the end of the day too, we're serving multiple industries. So it wasn't like the world's best questions to ask in an active listening state. It's more about the mindset around how to stay engaged and force yourself to listen. So guess what? Do you use OneNote or do you use paper and pen? I use both, obviously. Say in the chat, what do you use, OneNote or paper and pen? Somebody at my old company was a ninja as it came to OneNote. I should hire him and give or beg him and have him give me like all of his ninja strategies, because I only just started using OneNote recently. And I still sometimes like my default to both depending on the situation. But the best way I coach newbie sales reps or people who are new to me in general is to take notes while you listen. That for me is the number one ninja strategy for active listening, because it forces you to stay focused. Are you wearing an iWatch? Do you have your phone over here? Is your LinkedIn notifications going off? Are your emails popping up in the bottom of your screen? It is so easy to not pay attention, to show up at a masterclass and have your cameras off, right? And to multitask. Like, I get it. My life transformed when I decided that single sourcing was the new way. If I'm going to show up somewhere, I'm going to show up and I'm going to participate. And that means too, in the case of a call with a client, or like you're project managing something, right? Or you're having dinner with, well, dinner's a little bit different. You're not really going to bust out your laptop and like take notes, but like practice active listening and learn how to ask probing questions to get your clients engaged. Right? Make it about them. Anybody ask questions and you get like one word answers? Oh my gosh, right? Just ask the question a different way. Ask them to go deeper. Say, what did you mean by that? Give me some examples, right? So like, don't let people off the hook by giving you one word answers. And when they respond, you type it all, Even though there are bots now, Fathom, Chorus, a lot of other, like just recording on LinkedIn or Zoom, right? Recording the chat. It's very easy to say, oh, I'm going to look back at the notes after that the AI bot made for me. If you don't know about some of these technologies, they're super cool where they like record your calls. Those are really great, especially if you're a sales manager, to be able to dive into your team's calls. But nothing is more powerful to be able to coach on if you're a leader. So who's a leader here? Say leader in the chat, leader, or versus an individual contributor. Taking notes actually helps your boss, your manager, your leader better lead you, because we can reflect on what did you hear versus what did you write? And from those, what does it mean, right? And so active listening takes what you heard and transforms it into what did they actually mean, okay? Being able to type concise bulleted notes for anybody is going to help get you ahead, especially if you're not in sales, but also especially if you're in sales. When I reported to the CEO, who literally, I'm sorry to say, and I love him dearly, even though he fired me, never asked how I was doing, didn't care. And I came from a boss who loved to ask me how I was doing. And it was so, that's why I coach in the book, especially on like empathy and compassion, right? And connection, because it's so helpful if you're the person leading a meeting, if you pause for 2 minutes and just ask how everybody's doing, right? Thank you for that heads up. Yeah, just pause and ask, right? And if they don't, fine. You got to know, manage your manager. Oof, man, that is a ninja strategy in and of itself. Manage your manager, but know what your manager wants and needs. And no matter how they talk to you in person or on Zoom, know that when you're communicating back to them, especially if you're like, oh my gosh, a client just asked me X, Y, or Z, and I did the thing that I heard in this free masterclass was pause and say, cool, can we set up a call so I can bring in the right people? That is a point where your notes are dependent on how much the business prioritizes that request to pull in the right people and to say the right thing. So don't embellish the notes. Make sure that the notes are concise and that you're transforming what they say into what it actually means. We could do a whole training on that. So we'll look at the spreadsheet after this, right? So consistency compounds, there's only 2 slides left, 20 minutes. I think we're doing good. Yes, lots of leaders here. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to take a sip of water. Go ahead and post questions in the chat. Dane, I love it. Ask for clarity by reviewing action tasks. Yep. Oh, and that's a ninja one. Before the end of the meeting, reiterate what was said. Somebody here does that really well to me. They'll say, okay, let's wrap up and like let me regurgitate what I understood you said was my homework or is these next steps so that I'm clear. It is so important to pause and do that at the end of the meeting. Thank you. All right, cool. So if you have questions, put them in the chat. Consistency compound. So every engagement, what if you paused? Because like if we're not in sales or if we are, and like we see company names come across our desk all the time, we might not like realize what industry they're in. And if you're in my other master classes or my trainings, you know, I talk a lot about avatars being like simply a path for you to know what script or what process you're going to follow. So if you're calling this type of thing, like if you're calling law firm, sorry, go ahead. Somebody's not on mute. Maybe I can't see everybody. Oh, Horlene, I'm just going to mute you. No,
Sorry about that.
No worries. Okay. So, what was I saying is, avatars, right? So like avatars helps you identify A, put yourself in the mind of the buyer, and B, like, what is the lingo? Because if you're calling on law firms, which is an example I use all left, right, and center, because everybody and their mother calls on law firms, right? They care about something specific that is totally different than, again, like my LSP background, right? Like pharmaceutical companies care about something totally different than med dev companies, medical device companies. So depending on what sector you're calling on, what industry you're servicing, what industry you work for, having an avatar allows you to think in the mind of the customer so that you're speaking their language back to them. So if you don't know, when you see a client's name come across your desk, or if you see their company and you don't know what industry they're in, pause and look it up, right? Because then if it's a defense company, you're speaking the language of defense companies. In fact, the client I shared at the beginning that I have a win with, like I'm super stoked about this, they ironically are in the defense industry, and I don't have experience calling into the sector, right? I've got somebody kind of helping me like craft my message for them to be relevant, but you better believe I am taking my own advice and pausing to look up their company, to look up their taglines, to Google what the industry says about them, to Google what they say about themselves, to Google what Glassdoor says, to Google what their website says, maybe even ask ChatGPT or another AI what it says, right? Learn about your company's industry or about the company itself. And then you knew where I was going to go with this. Look them up on LinkedIn. Okay, I'm not going to say it's on the screen, but what is my strategy when you connect with somebody on LinkedIn? Put it in the chat for the people on the back. What do you say to people when you connect with them on LinkedIn? Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. I know I can see you're like typing. Yeah, I can't type fast enough. I'd be honored to connect. Yes, man, I'm consistent, right? I learned this. And you've also heard me this week say, invest, learn, teach. I love it. Which is why you take my stuff and go teach it somewhere else, right? Yes, do it. Teach your team, teach other people, right? If the strategy works, use it and then teach on it. I'd be honored to connect. Works like a ninja. And listen, we can have a whole conversation about why, and and I'm actually going to be doing another LinkedIn, some more in-depth LinkedIn training, but just add the contact that is asking you the question or that you're working with, or your client, your current client, add them all on LinkedIn with a simple phrase, I'd be honored to connect. Everything else you want to say, and we want to say a lot. Save it for once they accept your connect request. I promise you, just save it. And then ask them questions. If you're on the call, right, and or you're talking to them, and I've got a whole framework now of how to get what meetings from the direct message chat. We'll save that for another day. But like, listen, if you're asking them questions, ask them about their role, Ask them for referrals, ask them for feedback. Does feedback make us cringe sometimes? You're like, ooh, I don't really want to know what you have to say, but I need to hear it. If you don't have a formal customer satisfaction, like team department survey that your company is doing quarterly or yearly, if you're not doing yearly business reviews at a minimum, if you're not doing quarterly business reviews for your larger strategic accounts, you're missing out on the opportunity to gather feedback. So you got to figure out how to solicit feedback yourself or empower your teams, your project. This is really where the extension of the teams, the cross collaborative departments comes in. Have them embed in their email signature something as simple as like, give us some feedback or provide us with referrals. And you don't say it that way, obviously. Okay. And then let's look at the worksheet. And then I've got one last slide and then we're done, right? So fears, I'm hesitant to call it fears. I mean, I already did, but like I was hesitant to use that word because fears makes us what? Fearful, imposter syndrome, paralysis by overanalysis. But like, let's just call a spade a spade. This worksheet is for you, even if you are the best salesperson you've ever known. And you all should be, right? After today, you should be like, I'm going to crush this sales thing, whether I'm in sales or not. But like, look at where you are in your own journey, right? Reflect on that, think about it, explore it, reframe it. It's the same thing like the resilience, like build that muscle, build your positive mindset, eliminate the negative emotions. There's not much here, right? And come up with a strategy. So the reason for putting my meeting link in the chat was to say, hey, there's 2 or supposed to be 3 worksheets for everybody to work through. And you can set up a 15-minute call with me for any reason whatsoever as it relates to this masterclass or anything under the sun. And so that maybe I can help you reframe your mindset, work through resilience, be a better sales contributor, be a better sales leader, or whatever it is. So say wrap up or give me some emojis if you're ready to wrap this thing up and take it home. Accountability to your new mindset, right? Because leaving here, we're all going to be like, yes, I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. Okay. So establish for yourself a seller's first mindset, right? Be willing and confident, right? Confidence in the chat while I take my last sip of water. Confidence in the chat. Half of the battle is knowing that you are empowered to do the job that you were hired to do, that you have all of the skills it takes, that you are smart enough, that you are the right person for this, right? So be confident, have the right mindset, stay curious. I'm going to put that one in the chat. Curious. Ask open-ended questions like we talked about, right? To obviously ask about other opportunities, to ask about their pains. It might be the feedback of the pains with whatever you're servicing them with. It might be pains as it relates to like how they're buying the thing from somebody else and they're not delivering. It might be pains with their workflow. It might be pains with their overall process or with, you know, whatever. Ask them about their pains. And equally, like you want your boss to ask you about you, and just pause for 2 minutes at the beginning of a meeting to be like, how are you doing? Ask your clients about their successes, right? Like they want to talk too. I start so many of my coaching calls now with like, share a success. We need to pause and just share a success. Right? It's so important to honor the things that we've done in the day to day, the week to week, the month to month, the quarter to quarter, the year over year. That way we can have SMART goals. Ooh, I just went there. So like SMART goals. If you want that worksheet, I've shared it previously. So just message worksheet in the chat or message me after and I'll give you the SMART goals worksheet. But ultimately it's just making your goals, having a vision for your month, for your quarter, for your year, having a vision, and then having SMART goals associated with that vision so that you can actually tackle the thing, right? So a seller's first mindset is all about curiosity and keeping the mindset positive and having goals. Might as well make them SMART. Yes, Leah, I've got you. And then providing regular feedback. A lot of you said you're leaders here, right? So provide the feedback to your team, your direct reports. Know that you're empowered to provide feedback to your colleagues, right? The way you do it kindness kills. Somebody said earlier, smiley face. Hey, this is awkward, but smiley face, right? Change your tone, change your style, add a smiley face, right? Have a conversation over the phone rather than email, because emotions can be misconstrued on email. Lead by example, right? If you're here, you now all have the responsibility. I'm empowering you with the accountability. Be accountable. You are responsible for leading by example to go back to your day job and consistently look for upsell, cross-sell opportunities, no matter what your role is. And then especially if you're a leader, but also if you're an individual contributor, ask for peer-to-peer accountability, right? If one person agreed to sign up for a challenge, see if the whole team can sign up for the challenge, not to torture the person that didn't want to sign up for the challenge, but to help create the peer-to-peer accountability and make it more fun for everybody who's involved. And then when in doubt, gamify it, man. I love like a simple Starbucks. Thank you. Here's a Starbucks. I love a $50 gift card to Amazon. I'm not talking about, I as a leader have done $1,000 stipends before. Like, you do this goal, here's $750 to do X, Y, or Z. Anything you wanted. You know what my direct report did? He went to Mystic, Connecticut with his wife for the very first time after having a 2.5-year-old. They had never been away, because isn't that the truth, right? They took the money that he won from the company, and he went on a weekend away with his wife, because he already lives in Connecticut, and they ate at Mystic Pizza, and they ate child-free, distraction-free 3 or 4 meals, and he loved it. And did it cover all of his expenses? Probably not, but it was a significant amount of money. Do that. By all means, do that. But don't underestimate the power of a $5 Starbucks gift card, right? Don't underestimate the power of a $25, $30, $45 Amazon gift card. So bring these strategies back to your team, whether you're an individual contributor or a team leader, and say, how can everybody else build up their resilience, have a positive mindset, and sell. All right, that's all I got. Probably no questions, and we'll end 10 minutes early, but I'm here for it. What do you guys have? Now is your chance to come off mute, put me on the spot, ask each other questions. Make sure everybody has your LinkedIn. Thank you so much. Any questions? Let me see if I can pull up the SMART goal worksheet.
I have one for you.
Yeah.
About if your company is not asking for feedback or doing a survey, is there like a specific, like, generic program you can use that, or what do you recommend on how to start gathering that?
Yeah, good question. So if we're not currently doing like a customer satisfaction survey,
Right.
So the simplest way would be to open Outlook, edit the core signature block where it has your name and a bunch of information that we all have. And I don't really know why, right? It's like, it should have our LinkedIn information and whatever. Soapbox for another day. And embed a line that's maybe even before your name or whatever your company allows. Just embed a line that's like, can you give us feedback on X, Y, or Z? Like, you have to be careful. It depends on what your role is, really. If you're a project manager, that works really well, because project managers typically are in response type modes. If you're a salesperson, and you're managing a couple accounts, right? Most salespeople don't actually walk away from their accounts. It just depends on how long they manage them. Then you really just want to make sure that every month or quarter or year, depending on the frequency of the projects the client sends, you have an official meeting. The best way to do it is in a quarterly or yearly business review. So this is a chance to get with the client, put some data together that's meaningful for them, and then really say, like, in advance, right? You want to like build the QBR deck, or it doesn't matter, QBR or YBR. You want to build that deck with your client. You want to buy them into it before you just throw it on the wall. And you want to make sure that they bring at least one person, hopefully a few people from their organization who either use their services, is their boss, or other people to that meeting, because you use that meeting to like upsell, cross-sell, and gather feedback. You kind of want to hedge your bets, because you don't want a bunch of nasty feedback thrown at you, but most people won't do that. If you know about nasty feedback, they're going to tell you ahead of time. Like, people are always willing to share the nasty feedback. You're trying to look for the additional better, like the other feedback. All feedback is a gift to conclude, but like, yeah, you can embed it in your email signature. You could set up a QBR, YBR, or depending on the frequency of how often they buy from you, ask them. Just proactively send them an email, one-off email, and ask them. Great question.
I love it. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, Mariana.
Hey, thank you, Christine. When you explain about stay curious, you asked two open questions. One was, what do you mean about that? And can you give me some examples? Do you have one more or two more to share?
Oh, to stay curious. Yeah, I mean, okay, let me put myself in the frame of mind, right? So like, yeah, I mean, we could probably go into this like a lot one-to-one, but like for the group, it's more like, because I feel like I need to know like what's being sold, but ask them. The comment was if they're giving you one-word answers, like, hey, how's it going? Fine. Well, did you do anything exciting this week? Are you looking forward to anything this weekend? So that's the same question asked 3 times in a row, 3 different ways. And it's generic for the purpose of the example, but like one question 3 ways, if you're getting a generic answer, is how to help. Often if people are giving you short answers, they're either distracted, maybe intentionally or unintentionally, because these smart devices just like are not our friends sometimes. So try to read the room. Where 99% of everything happens on Zoom, right? So like read the room. Are they distracted because they just don't care about being there with you? Right? That's one thing. Or are they just distracted because something happened and they're prioritizing the most important thing versus, the other thing? So try to ask them, I would say, one question 3 ways if they're giving you. So, hey, how's it going? La da 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 da, or fine, great. Like, did you do anything exciting last weekend? Do you have anything you're looking forward to next weekend? Can you tell me about your best win this week? That's 4 questions, right? So I know it's a little bit loosey-goosey, but I hope that helps.
Thank you.
All right. Yes, my Lithuanian friend.
Hi, sorry, I will leave my camera off. That's not a question, it's more a comment and maybe the invitation for a discussion. You mentioned, like, when you have a conversation, sales conversation, with a potential client and so on, and you are about to invite some people who can answer better questions to some specific questions the client may have. Don't you think that, the client is interested in having or obtaining the answers now? Like, I don't have time for you to wait, to bring me the team. I want the answer now, especially when we talk about big companies. What's your comment on that?
Good comment, question, right? You got to read the room, okay? Because like you, being a very senior leader, obviously the CEO, you or your team though, right, might be empowered to take it from A to Z. And once in a while, sometimes, maybe more often than not, it's okay, right? But there is a natural point where you can pause and say, this conversation is really exciting for me, for you. It would be great if we could bring X, Y, or Z people from my company. And it might just be one other person. As a salesperson, I always and generically, intentionally said, my operational leader. So that could, for me, an operational leader could be a PM, a director of operations, or a VP of operations. And it depends on which LSP I worked for and how they were structured. But I left it generic because I knew almost every LSP I ever worked at had more than one operational team. I don't know people's availability, and I don't know who is the best person to come in to answer that question or not. So having a response to say, this conversation is really exciting. Are you open? So that's my ninja strategy is, are you open? I'm going to put that in the chat, to setting time aside this week, later, to next week, whenever, to finish this conversation so we can ask you the right questions and get you the right solutions. So I would say, with a grain of salt, sometimes you take it forward all day long. Other times you pause and you say, are you open? And if they say no, great, because you're empowered, or hopefully your team member is empowered to just carry the thing through. What's the rate? It's 25 cents a word all in. Ask me about that later. Does that help at least a little? She's on mute. Okay.
Sorry, yeah, because I'm on my phone, it's not so fast. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. I put 2 SMART goal worksheets in the chat. I'm assuming you can both see them all, but in case, whatever, just let me know. So Leah, there you go, and everybody else. So great questions, a couple minutes. Anything else? Thank you. Thank you, Savannah. Thank you for everyone for spending an hour with me. I hope this was super helpful. Hope you got a lot of strategies from it. I hope you see that like sales isn't scary. Most of you are salespeople, so we know that it can be very fulfilling and rewarding, right? But like leveling ourselves up and building that muscle of resilience isn't going to make us je ne sais pas, like some stern, hard, cold-faced person. It's actually just going to make us be able to weather the storms that get thrown our way when buyers change, when decision makers change, when technology disrupts our industry, whatever the case is. Having the base level of resilience really helps to reframe our mindset around selling. Great session. Love these master classes. Thank you. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for your picture. I'll post it online. The replay will come out soon. If you need anything, book time with me and let's look after your goals and whatever you're trying to accomplish. And I just thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.